Hey guys, out here, Raid Shadow Legends, sending some love, some positive vibes your way, especially if you need them out there today. You're looking at the new fusion, guys. This dude's going to be a Void Affinity Banner Lord defense-based champion. His name is Titus Blackplume. I am excited for this one. Obviously, I'm recording this before I've spoken to anybody, before I've heard any opinions, before I've seen any gameplay. So the usual disclaimers are certainly out there. I want to start out by saying that I am really disappointed that it's a Banner Lord, you know, like as if we needed new Banner Lords into the game. It's interesting how they pick the factions. I have no idea if they have any rhyme or reason, but it is what it is. But man, I mean, it was kind of a bummer to see that. That being said, this guy's a weird champion, right? There's some things to like. There's some things to not like. And there's a lot of intrigue and unanswered questions. But I will say that at least for me, I've got the rage juices flowing for this dude a little bit, you know, like I'm going for him. And I think that if you're compelled to do so, I would advise you guys do the same. Titus Blackplume, again, is his name. I want to go over his entire kit, talk about why I like him. But first, I actually want to start with the passive. For Lord and Land, I really like this passive. Each time an enemy hits an ally, the ally's next attack will deal 10% more damage for each hit they take, up to 100%. So, man, that resets every time they deal damage, of course. But, man, listen, when Fear of the Barkhorn was added to the game, right, there was a lot of people that were like, this guy, this little old Christmas tree, like, whatever, dude, he sucks, you know, or he's okay at best, right? Okay. But honestly, guys, this passive, right? It was like, listen, his kit is actually really good, even outside the passive. But a lot of people just slept on how significant, if an ally's under 4 more buffs, increase their damage dealt by 20%, right? A lot of people slept on that and how impactful that would be in a game that's all about damage escalation, especially in longer battles. A few things stand out at me about this passive, stand out to me. Each time an enemy hits an ally, so it's just a hit. It's per hit, not per skill, right? So if an ally's hit a few times by the same enemy, they're going to get 10% per hit, right? Even 10%. The second thing I like about this is even 10%, a lot of damage escalation, passives, and mechanics in this game scale off of 5%. This scales off of 10%. So with him on the team, you're going to be dealing 10% extra damage most of the time, minimum, sometimes 20, sometimes more. That's really, really powerful. I really like it. Against Hydra, I mean, you could get hit by all the heads and deal 40% more damage on your DPS. That's really good. Okay. I want to also, before we're going to go through his whole kit, we're doing it in a little unorthodox order here, trying to be different than the other 150 videos that probably went live at the same time. I want to say the bad thing about his kit before we start reading it, because when I first read the kit and I saw how much shield synergy this dude has, and then the fact that he doesn't have a shield, I was like, what? So I wanted to tell you guys out the gate, this guy has no shield in his kit. Certainly there's many ways to mitigate that fact, but he gets a hell of a lot better with a shield. You could have shield champions on the team in an arena situation or for wave content or shorter battles, dungeon battles, faction wars, areas like that. I would highly recommend we run a shield set or a bolster set because we really want a shield on this guy, okay? Now let's start with his A1. This is the Raven Blade ability. Again, he's a defense-based damage dealer. Very interesting A1. Haven't seen a skill just like this before. Attacks one enemy, has a 60% chance of placing block active skills for 2 turns. Not a bad on his A1. The cool thing is it can't be resisted if he's under a shield, okay? The really interesting thing is whenever an ally counterattacks or joins up in an ally attack or instantly activates a skill, he also has a 60% chance to place a block active skills on that target enemy. Very interesting. Very interesting. It's a cool way to neutralize any champion, but specifically mythical champions as well. We see mythical champions in wave content, in Faction Wars hard mode, can be very challenging, obviously in the arena as well. It's not, I don't think it's the most broken A1 or anything in the game, but I think it's interesting, and it's certainly something that we haven't seen before. Student of Wars is A2. Attack one enemy. This attack is always critical if this champion is under a shield. So you can see, if he's under a shield, it's already alleviating the necessity of accuracy vis-a-vis the block active skills, as well as crit rate vis-a-vis the Student of War ability on the single target attack, okay? But the attack also gains a damage boost equal to the value of the shield. First thing I thought of is like, I wonder if you can use some Grow Shield stuff, some Wixwell-esque stuff, some Brogni-esque stuff to make this really smack, you know? Time will tell. Time will tell. But the extra damage boost is equal to the value of the shield. Will they have that mitigated somehow, like they have restrictive damage on other shields? Who knows? Removes all debuffs from all allies if the target is killed. So this is, by the way, on a 5 book down to a 3-turn cooldown. Very interesting. I want to see this one in action, of course. But a full cleanse if you kill the target. The fact that they have a kill condition in this move, too, usually lends itself to the idea that it could, you know, often kill an enemy. Not always, but that's usually the case. However, this is interesting, very interesting, too. If the target survives, places a provoke debuff on all enemies for 1 turn. This effect cannot be resisted if this champion is under a shield buff. Man, picture him and Hydra on Wixwell teams. Ooh, Infinity Shield teams. Or in the arena for that matter. That's a really strong move. I like it. Target survives. Provoke on all enemies for 1 turn. Really cool. Okay. That effect, again, the provoke cannot be resisted if he's under a shield. Now we get to the A3. This is Androx Confidant. Places, this is very interesting too. This is a 5-turn book down to a 3-turn cooldown. Books here 4, 8, 10. I would say about average in terms of number of skill tomes. Androx Confidant places an ally protection, an increased attack, and an increased speed buff on a single ally for 2 turns. Also fills that ally's turn meter by 40%. So, doesn't jump off the page at you, does it? Right? Has a good move. At first, when I read the first part of it, I'm like, okay, this is a little reminiscent of the A3 of Lammasu. A cleanse, intercept, turn meter fill by 50%, but hers resets the cooldown of their skills. So, like, when I first read the first part, I'm like, all right, this is not very good, you know, frankly. However, all the magic comes on the second part. Instantly activates this skill at the end of an ally's turn if that ally has no buffs or their HP is lower than 100%. That's really cool. So I think this guy is going to be a beast in PvE, especially with that passive in longer battles, Hydra, Chimera, stuff like that, right? It's going to be very, very good. Progression, endgame, faction wars, you name it. Very good. But what I really like, wave content with provokes or whatever, you know, it's a lot to like here. But what I wanted to do is kind of game out or game theory this out in PvP, because I think people are going to sleep on this Androx Confidant ability, right? To me, it's a blend of 2 champions. It's the blend of the A2 of Shuzen the Valorous. I guess you could add Lammasu as 3 champions, right? But it's kind of a blend. And think about all these champions, Lammasu, Shuzen, and Nekret. They're all quite different, and his ability isn't as good as Nekret's passive or as Shuzen's A2, to be fair. But he also have different dynamics at play as well. But I want you to think about those champions when thinking about his potential here. She sets up a nuker, Shuzen, with an increased attack, increased crit damage, increased crit rate, and gives them an instant turn, okay? Now, we can do some of that, right? We can go in with an increased attack, an increased speed to help mitigate the fact that they're not going to get an instant turn. But we also get a juicy 40% turn meter fill. That's a big turn meter fill. often it might be enough to get that nuker to go really quickly after he does, right? You could maybe set up an ignore stone skin champion if you're dealing with a bunch of stone skin. It's really cool. Or you could simply use it to boost whoever you need to boost given the situation. So I like that element of it as an opening move, right? And then later on, you're just going to be instantly activating the skill. Now, keep in mind, I think like the biggest thing I want to point out, and it's obvious, it's right there, but I just want to emphasize, every time this instantly activates, it's coming with a 40% turn meter fill. Like, that's really cool. So the way I read it, instantly activates the skill at the end of an ally's turn if an ally has no buff or HP lower than 100%. So my question is, and my impression is they get because it's the end of their turn, they get a 40% turn meter boost at the end of their turn as well. That's pretty amazing. Also, Necret the Great. Now, what Shuzen doesn't have, what Lammasu doesn't have, is a bit of that protection dynamic, right? Now, obviously, Necret the Great is amazing with his ally protect, certainly not comparable. But the fact that we have a tanky ally protector that's instantly activating kind of all the time, kind of like how Necret has the cooldown of the A3 going down that allows him to provide, like really stack up those ally protections pretty quickly with the extra turn. He has a little bit of that going on too. So we're protecting, we are setting up, boosting turn meter, boosting the damage to our team. I really think this guy is a very interesting champion. I'm very excited to use him. So listen, I've been kind of rambling on at this point here. I wanted this to be a super short video, but I kind of wanted to talk a little bit more because we don't get void fusions ever, really, right? And I really think that his kit, it warrants a little bit of extra dialogue because there's just so much going on here. What do you guys think, right? Now, I do want to mention too, that this guy could be a very challenging and frustrating fusion because he's void. We had Emic, of course. I'm not saying they never do void fusions, but they're few and far between. But I guess if I had to grade him out early on, I would say like he's not the same champion, very different than an Emic, but like he might have that sort of an impact on accounts, maybe even better, you know? Again, they're different kind of apples and oranges, but man, I'm going to be going for him. And for me, it gets me a little bit excited, right? He's not just like another damage dealer, you know? He's new. He adds new and interesting mechanics or dynamics, at least, to the game. So overall, I'm excited for him. Again, he kicks off July 3rd. Let me know what you think of this champion, guys. Much love. And as always, take care.